All right. Hello and welcome to the first episode of the PM podcast. My name is Parsa with Marco, and we're going to be talking about Cyrus the Great today for our first historical slash cultural topic.
Cyrus the Great, but that's not what they call him in Iran, is it?
No. He's actually called Kurosh,
Hmm.
which is like the modern hypothesis for where his name came from. More so like the sun, or I think there was like a second definition
Yeah.
for it too. But I think it was written later on where we talk about it.
Hmm.
But
Well,
it's based on the Indo-European term to humiliate, which is I find kind of insulting for a name. No,
no, because he's the one that humiliates. He's not humiliated. It's his name would translate to humiliator of the enemy in verbal contest.
okay, that's much more baller in that case.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Like you know me, Parsa. I love to debate. I love to fucking make people eat shit in arguments. If my descendants refer to me as the one who humiliates his enemies in verbal contest,
I'll
I
make
would
sure
be
mine
very
do.
happy with that legacy.
I'll make sure mine do with your level of
Thank
rage
you.
baiting.
But
Um,
but yeah, I
Spread
think
the word.
the more common hypothesis is that it just comes from the sun.
Yeah.
How would you say sun in modern Farsi?
We'd say Khorshid, which I
Oh
guess
shit.
sounds kind of. Why'd you say it like that? No, but we say it like Khorshid, but
Okay.
I guess Kurosh Khorshid. I don't really see.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of maybe, but I don't see much of a
Okay. So
resemblance.
Kurush, which is either sun or the one who humiliates his enemies in a verbal contest. Today, well, in the West, we call him Cyrus, which is like the Latinized version of his name. Now, there's a few very interesting facts about Cyrus. First, why a lot of people in the Western world, especially like Christians, would know him is that in the whole Bible, well, more specifically in the Old Testament, he's the only non Jew that's referred to as a Messiah. And he is actually described as being anointed by God and chosen by God. So, a
Do you know
pretty
why
big
that
deal.
was?
Well, we'll talk about later why like what he did to get this kind of respect in the Jewish religion.
Okay, that shoot cred.
Yeah, yeah, that's in the streets of Jerusalem. He was also respected by the Greeks, which I think is a pretty big deal because if anyone who knows, ancient history or anyone who's watched the movie fucking 300, Des Sparta, you would know that the Greeks and Persians were not on the best of terms.
Was
So the
that
fact that
during Cyrus's like reign that the
no,
Spartan
no, I think the
fight
Persian
happened?
king in the movie is Xerxes.
Oh, true. He pulls up on them,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he's
he
like
pulls up.
7 foot two.
Yeah, but they kick the messenger down the well. It's a whole
The
fucking affair. But all this to say that the Persians and Greeks were not on the best of terms, and even so, the Greeks admired and respected him. And one famous Greek who was obsessed with Cyrus and actually wanted to emulate him was Alexander the Great. So we'll talk about that
just
more.
how he copied his name.
What?
Alexander the Great, stole that shit from Cyrus, man. He was first.
Still what?
His name, the nickname, you know?
Oh my God.
What?
Yeah, yeah, no, it's very unique, the Great. Yeah, very,
Well,
very
that's what I'm
unique.
saying. I mean, there are a lot of greats,
There are a lot of greats,
like
bro.
LeBron James and
Okay. I was thinking of Charlemagne, but okay.
the GOAT LeBron.
Yeah, LeBron, Shohei Otani, a
No,
lot of
no,
greats.
no, LeBron.
And he was also admired by Thomas Jefferson. And like the Greeks, Americans have not had the best relationship with Persians, let's say in recent years.
Yeah.
But the founding fathers, and that's something that's very interesting, is the founding fathers, a lot of them did like and respect Cyrus.
Mm.
And obviously, now we're just talking outside, but within Iran, he's seen as the father of the Iranian nation. And to this day, and you can vouch for this, Parsa, he's still glazed by his descendants in Iran.
Yeah, people like to flex that stuff, like claiming they have a celebrity who's a quarter Persian and claiming them as their own. But Cyrus was 100% Persian, and I think he's on like a lot of little souvenirs and ancient stuff that if you go visit, you can find a bunch of his likeness. And in a few places, I could think closer to his tomb, since the government's kind of iffy about this guy. What?
Well, I'll take your word for it.
Well, I mean, you can imagine why they're iffy about it. Like they don't like
I
the
know,
idea of a religious freedom based empire of a man who did not follow Islam.
I know, I understand.
But anyways,
But I think we will get into that more later.
yeah.
So, first, let's look at Cyrus's life, but I'm going to present kind of the legend. So what people at the time wrote about his life, and but it's very mythological. And then maybe you can walk us through what historians actually agree on, because a lot of this stuff is, kind of fairy tale. So the legend of Cyrus, we mostly refer to her. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Herodotus?
Herodotus. Thank you.
Got
Who
you.
was a Greek historian and quite possibly the first or one of the first historians, because he's literally known as the father of history, which is a aura name. But in his book, The Histories, he gave a mythological account of Cyrus's early life.
Rather than calling it history, I think he's just like a OG fantasy writer.
Yeah, but a lot of
With how
ancient
much it's like,
historians were
yeah,
basically
most
writing.
of them, most of them, fan fictions.
Well, if you now we're going on a tangent, but if you look at the ancient historians, what they write about the history of Rome, it's that it's veterans of the Trojan War that basically settled in central Italy and founded Rome, like the ancestors of Romulus and
Yeah, I was gonna say
Romulus.
Ramus and Remulus. Was
Oh
that
yeah,
not
and they were
just?
raised by a she-wolf, and
Oh wait, those
so
guys were survivors of
they
Troy.
they were like descendants of veterans of the Trojan War,
Oh,
and ancient Romans would use that to kind of claim a Greek heritage by saying our city was founded by Greeks who fled the Trojan War or something like that. Which I don't think there's actually a basis for it, but
why would they? Why would they even want that though?
oh, because Romans were massive weeps for Greece and Greek culture. They absolutely were. When they conquered Greece, usually when a nation conquers another, they're like, you guys are inferior to us, so we're going to enforce our
Yeah,
culture on you. When the Romans conquered Greece, they literally did the opposite. They said, we beat you at war, but we acknowledge that you guys are smarter and more cultured than us. So they took a lot of Greeks as slaves, and their job as slaves was literally to teach the Roman elites kids, because they acknowledged that
mm,
the Greeks were smarter than them.
damn.
But okay, back to Cyrus.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
So, according to the legend, Hastyages, who was the king of the Medes, and the Medes, there are people that we don't know, like people today have no idea who they are. They were basically the rulers of the whole region that we now call Persia today. They owned all that, and Persia was just one small part of that. That was a vassal kingdom of the king of the Medes. So Hastyages was king of the Medes, overlord of the Persians.
Overlord is
Yeah,
over
yeah,
over
bro,
overlord is
he
what?
overlord. That's yeah, he had aura.
Okay. I mean,
Uh,
shit. That's
and and he had so to help solidify his kingdom and kind of make sure that his vassals don't revolt, he gave his daughter Mandane in marriage to
you just
the
tried to say that like it's a Persian name.
Mandane. So he had her wed to Cambyses, who was king of the Persians, and that that boy Astyages was kind of racist, because his logic was that no son of a Persian could challenge his reign. So it's like, I'll marry my daughter to a Persian, and then their kid's gonna be Persian. So like, my rule is secure. Like that kid's never gonna revolt.
Because he's a weak Persian.
Exactly. He's just a Persian.
Yeah, little
But
did he know.
Astyages had a dream in which he saw water flooding out of his daughter's pelvical area and flooding all of Asia.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. It's very like symbolic to what he thought his
Well,
daughter's son was going to achieve.
that's the thing. Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
out of his daughter would come a flood that would drown out his whole empire. And then he had, at first, he didn't think much of it.
Was he an oracle? How did he even?
Well, he had advisors that were kind of interpreting the dream for him, the Magi, you know?
Mm.
But so at first, one dream, okay, it's a little weird. He had a second dream where vines came out of his daughter and engulfed the entire world, not just Asia. And so him and his advisors kind of interpreted the dreams, obviously, as like the baby that comes out of his daughter is gonna, overthrow him and rule the world.
That's. I mean, I think we jumped a couple of steps to get to that conclusion.
Well, I'm sure they had a
But I mean,
talk
like, what?
over
But
some wine, and
I mean, I feel like
well, Pars,
wouldn't
how
he
would you
want that
interpret
for his
it?
empire? Wouldn't he want? No, I'm not gonna interpret it as anyway. I'm just saying, wouldn't you? Even though the kid is, oh no, half Persian, wouldn't you want your grandson to, fulfill a prophecy that he's gonna take over the world? Realistically,
Yeah, but you have to keep in mind that Cyrus, the grandson, was the heir of Persia,
another
the
kingdom.
vassal state, not his Median Empire, right?
I
He
mean, it was still
probably
from his daughter.
yes, but no, but that's the thing. Like, you don't pass on the kingship from daughter. Like, Astyages probably had a son who was gonna be king of the Medes.
Oh, true.
So the way he was seeing it is that the grandson, who's the heir to one of his vassals, is gonna replace the Median Empire.
Mm.
That's
And he
how he
didn't
was.
want that.
I know it's confusing with all the son, grandson, and all,
No, no, it's fine. I get it.
but
I'm not
you get it. You're a smart
slow.
guy.
Yeah, come on. I had a dream
And so,
that I'd win money in the lottery,
did it
but
happen?
that didn't. No, it did not. No, it did not.
No? Okay.
I, I
Your
keep
dreams only come
dreaming.
true when it's something bad,
Yeah,
like your
exactly.
daughter's pelvis flooding Asia.
What if Astyages just wanted, like wealth and health for his daughter?
Well, okay, the next
Abundant
part is maybe
life.
not for the best for his daughter, because after the dream, he summoned his daughter to the capital with the goal of killing the kid when he was born.
Yes.
Yeah, because she was pregnant. He's like, "Oh, come, we'll celebrate the birth of my grandson." But his
9 month
intention was just to,
abortion. Spawn kill.
yeah, exactly, push her down the
So to
stairs
say.
or whatever.
But wasn't the baby born at the time? Or not yet?
I think he summoned her. She was still pregnant, and then the baby was born when she was in the
Hmm.
city with him. So he summoned his pregnant daughter to the capital to kill the kid. Kid is born, and then he tells Harpagus, Harpagus, whatever. This guy's going to be important in the story. He tells Harpagus to kill the baby Cyrus. Harpagus delegates the task to Mithridates, which is a sick name. Who
Isn't that
Mithridates
isn't Mithridates in Dune?
might be. I'm not sure. But it's a name that comes back if you read like Roman history. It used to be a pretty common name.
Okay.
Just googling it. No, Mithridates is not in Dune. You're thinking of Atreides, the house
Uh
that Paul is from.
yeah.
So okay.
Yeah.
Harpagus, the general, tells Mithridates, who's a shepherd, to kill the kid.
Okay.
Mithridates doesn't kill the kid. He had a stillborn with his wife, gives the stillborn to Harpagus as, yeah, okay, we killed Cyrus. This is his body. But then they keep the real Cyrus and raise him as their son.
Hmm. What a crazy coincidence.
And he
And
had a stillborn?
I mean that the what first of all, right? Why is the general, like this general, high-ranking official,
Yeah.
delegating a task from his king or emperor or whatever he referred to him as his overlord,
Uh-huh.
and he's like, "Oh, I won't do this myself. Let me delegate it to a random shepherd."
Well,
What
he was one of
connection
the
is
king's shepherds.
Yeah, but what connection is there between a shepherd and a military general? You know what I mean?
Um,
Anyways, I'm just saying, and then the odds of that shepherd also just having a baby at the exact same time, but it unfortunately being a stillborn.
so you're questioning the historical accuracy of what Herodotus wrote?
Just saying, there's some plot holes in this story. I don't like that.
Well, you can write him an email with your grievances.
I don't think he's gonna answer.
No? You don't think so?
Something's
No, but you're
telling me
right.
that he
Look,
wouldn't.
and that's why I open with like this is a legend. Like no one thinks that this is
Real
yeah. Well, they
or
like
a
the
hundred
like
percent accurate
yeah,
and
yeah,
not
like Herodotus
embellished a little bit.
probably wrote it as fact, but you have to keep in mind that a historian back in the day didn't have well, our historians today study what those guys wrote, right? They had no one to read. They were writing just based on what people at the time said, like what people
Mm,
talked about. So that it at least is helpful to give us an idea of like what the general population thought was Cyrus's story, like what was the legend around him.
yeah,
So that's how we should interpret it. Obviously, not as fact, but as kind of what people.
like how people talked about him.
Yes, exactly. And
Okay.
Herodotus was only like a
It's
hundred
like if
years after
we
Cyrus.
it's like if we just took a bunch of like Twitter posts and used that as our history today.
Yeah, 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 100%. If in 1,000 years you take a bunch of Twitter posts from 2025, it's not going to give you fact, but it's going to at least show you what people alive in the era were saying and
I
thinking.
mean, I feel like people are kind of using Twitter as that source of truth nowadays.
Yeah, but that's
Hey, no R words.
okay. Moving on. So Cyrus was living in secrecy with Mithridates, but he knew his true identity. When he was 10 years old, during a childhood game, he had the son of a nobleman beaten because he refused to obey one of Cyrus's commands,
Okay.
which kind of brought attention to him because, the son of a shepherd would never have the balls to, have the son of a noble beat up. But
Yeah.
it showed he already had leadership at a young age, bro. He was 10 years old and he was saying, yo, go beat him up.
So he knew this and he's like, yeah, mess that guy up despite knowing that he should have been dead.
Yeah, but he's 10 years old.
Oh, that's true.
He
I
just knew
tripped.
that he was like actually a noble, even though the others didn't know.
He's like the guys that can run really fast in elementary school and then all of a sudden they're like cool, you know? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah. No, I know. And so that Astyages kind of, brought the boy to court and interviewed him and Mithridates. And Mithridates confessed. He's like, yeah, that's Cyrus. At your orders, I was supposed to kill him 10 years ago, but I didn't. But for some
And
reason,
this man didn't die.
no, he didn't die. And Astyages didn't kill the 10-year-old Cyrus. He sent him back to Persia to live with his actual parents.
Damn.
But he was very angry at Harpagus, who was the one, the general that was supposed to kill him.
Yeah.
And so we get this kind of Game of Thrones ass gruesome story where Astyages summoned the son of Harpagus, chopped him to pieces, roasted some portions and boiled others, so there was diversity in the meal, and tricked Harpagus into eating the kid during a large banquet. And then,
That's fucked.
bro, that's like some Eric Cartman shit.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was
That's what
thinking
Eric
the
Cartman
same
did.
thing. That's
You
that's
like it,
deep. I mean,
Scott? You like
yeah,
it?
they
It's
made
your
a South
parents, Scott.
they made the South Park episode a real thing, I guess.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That is fucked up, man. And then, like Eric Cartman, the servants brought Harpagus the head of the son so he could recognize, like, yeah, you just ate your own kid. That's so fucked.
So, because Harpagus ended up delegating the task to someone else, the guy who delegated the task to Harpagus got mad at him and made him eat his son.
Yes.
Got it.
And then Harpagus told the king, after he just, made him eat his own son,
Yeah.
whatever you do, sire, is agreeable to me. But secretly, it was not agreeable, and he was holding on to a crazy grudge,
Yeah,
which
I
we
was
can get
gonna
back
say
to
that's
soon.
usually how these ancient Roman slash
Oh,
Greek
yeah.
slash
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Persian stories go.
Whatever you do, sire, agreeable to me. You can visualize the Wojak, the crying Wojak with the mask on, like he's laughing. That was Harpagus's face. He was seething under there, bro.
It's like an anime protagonist, like backstory
Yeah,
or
100%.
anti-hero.
Yeah. So that's the legend. Now, Parsa, can you tell us what actually is historically known about Cyrus?
But I think, like you said, most historians at the time, anyways, were kind of just doing it on like word of mouth. But most of these end up being like theories or like less exaggerated, more realistic versions of potential like things like you just
Right.
told us. So it's believed he was born between 590 to 580 BCE,
Hmm.
but some other sources and modern reconstructions believe he was born either 600 or 599 BCE.
Okay.
And he was believed to be a member of the Achaemenid dynasty, like you said, son of Cambyses the First, and he was the king of Anshan and Mandane. I guess I'll say it like that. Make it a little
Thank you.
Persian.
Yeah.
Daughter of Astyages, and he was the ruler of Medes or Media at the
Okay.
time.
So this part is actually accepted by historians.
Yeah, I feel like that's maybe a little less likely to get twisted, considering it's like even if it is word of mouth, like the king and the queen or the parents of the child would remain well known. That can't
Right.
really be twisted,
And
right? Through word
and
of mouth.
you said Cambyses, so is that king of Anshan? So was Anshan kind of another name for Persia
I
at the time?
I believe so. I believe it was. I believe it was like you said, a vassal state within Persia now, and then Medea and ruler Medes. He was the son of. She was the daughter of Astyages, like you said.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I see.
but the main, I think, sources for the history of Cyrus the Great is often referred to as the Cyrus cylinder. And they identify Cyrus as the king of Anshan, but also don't confirm what Herodotus was saying, that he was the grandson of King Astyages. So there are still some conflicting information between different takes on it.
Okay.
But yeah, some people think these were mainly from the legends, and like while intertribal marriages were still common back in the day, that claim was just made to legitimize, I guess, his rule and make it more easy to accept, right? So it was fabricated to then encourage trusting Cyrus and accepting Cyrus's rule for the Medians.
Hmm. Yeah, makes sense.
But yeah, unlike that dramatic retelling by Herodotus, there is no Near Eastern source that supports the narrative that he was almost killed as an infant and that he was raised by a shepherd
You calling me a
or anything
liar?
like that. I ain't calling you a truther. But yeah, so nothing really supports that narrative, and most modern historians view the story as more like folkloric and trying to frame him as a hero, a royal hero, and like
Hmm.
put make his name go down in like myth.
Yeah.
And similar stories were told about like other historical figures like Sargon or Akkad, and it was designed
Hmm.
to more so emphasize that like it was his destiny to be where he was at, and not really just circumstance or something else. Like it was like written in the stars. It was meant to
I
be.
see. Yeah, so it was like a piece of propaganda.
Yeah,
But you know,
yeah,
actually it worked
exactly.
because I hear his story. I'm like, wow, this is
But then you're like, nothing like that ever happens nowadays. You just think, and you're like, it's so like as of the time that like history became much more clearly written and tracked, right, over time,
yeah.
when there was more variety in the sources, you don't hear stories like that as much,
Oh,
right?
of course. Yeah, you couldn't get away with that now.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on regarding like the more historically accurate early life, it is more secure or believable that Cyrus belonged to a line of local Persian rulers who were already politically significant before his rebellion against the Medes. And Assyrian and Babylonian records attest that Anshan is a recognized political entity, and Cyrus inherited a functioning kingship rather than just, coming out of nowhere and coming to power.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So that, yeah, so everyone agrees this wasn't some random bomb that became emperor. He came
Yeah,
from nobility.
yeah, exactly. It was like he was already in that, he had that head start kind of thing. He had that golden spoon in his mouth already. Not to take away from his accomplishments, but
Yeah,
yeah, he had that power. You were talking about the meaning of his name earlier. Some other definitions I found were like son, rather like the son of someone, rather than the
okay.
our son, and as well as old dog in the specific old local dialect of the Anshan area. But I'm not really
I see.
sure why old dog would be a good like reflecting name, especially for someone who was considered to be from a politically powerful family or kingdom even. But Cyrus then just inherited leadership upon his father's death of the kingdom of where today is now known as uh, Sargade. I believe it's said. If
Asargade.
I'm trying to, I'm putting that with a question mark because I'm not sure if that's how it's pronounced. But Pasargade,
I'm pretty sure it's Pasargade.
Pasargade,
No, I
maybe.
like that. Pasargade.
Yeah, that feels right.
I mean, I'm sure ancient Persian is closer to modern Persian than to English. So you can just pronounce it.
How I want. No one can
Yeah,
tell me otherwise. You're
matter of
right.
fact.
what? What the fuck?
Okay, okay, okay. So he rises to the throne after his dad dies. He becomes king of Persia,
Yeah.
and like his dad, he wasn't an independent ruler, right? He was still a vassal of Astyages and the Median Empire.
Yes.
So he still had to recognize their overlordship, which is just the sickest word.
Was that what was written in like the sources?
Overlord?
Yeah.
Well, it's translated, but it's the concept. Like it's translated from Greek, but
What was the
over
Greek word for it?
I don't know. Overlordus.
All right.
Uh, so
I like that.
well, look, we you can use overlord, king, ruler. We have
Yeah.
established that he was essentially a vassal of the Median king.
Yeah.
Uh, so then Harpagus, who
Who ate his own son?
yeah, 10 minutes ago we were saying he ate his own son, and Astyages was just BMing him, like even brought him the head just to flex. He told him he was fine with it. We know that was cap. He wanted revenge, obviously, and so he initiated a conspiracy. There was a
Mhm.
lot of nobles in media at the time that were not happy with the king, and so he kind of rallied them with the goal of let's get all the nobles hyped up to turn against the king, and we'll get Cyrus to, revolt, and we'll all back him up. That was kind of the plan.
Okay.
So he sent a letter to Cyrus in Persia after rallying the nobles, getting them hyped up to fuck up the king. Sends a letter to Cyrus in Persia where he promises him, "Hey Cyrus, if you revolt against Astyages, you're gonna have the support of most nobles and Me, Harpagus, I'll join you with all my troops. And he was one of the top generals. So Cyrus was like, okay, yeah, that sounds like a pretty good
Good
deal.
deal.
Yeah,
Kind of
yeah,
Civ 5 background dealings happening.
yeah, exactly.
I'm a
So,
victim of many of those.
really, from who?
What do you think? Who do you think?
Maybe we'll do a stream one day about the great. Who was I playing?
Were you usually played as Poland, no?
No, you were Poland, and I nuked you.
No, I always played Babylon.
Okay, the
I was
Great
a
Polish
Babylonian.
Babylonian War.
Yeah, exactly. No, France.
I was France.
You were French.
Oui, oui, oui. Okay, so so Cyrus starts persuading the Persians to defect from Astyages and basically telling his people and his nobility, like, guys, if I'm king instead of him, you're gonna have a better life, you're gonna be happier, we're gonna have money, we're gonna be popping bottles. So they were like, I bet. And because a lot of the Persians resented the Medians, obviously you have like a foreign entity that's controlling you, so they were all in. But Astyages at some point heard that Cyrus was kind of gearing up for a revolt, so he sent a messenger to summon him back to the royal capital. And we know, the first time that Cyrus was at the royal capital as a fetus, he was supposed to get murked. So he didn't go, and this refusal was kind of was interpreted as the signal for the beginning of the rebellion. When word
Okay.
got out that Cyrus refused to the king's invitation.
Yeah. He was not being a good boy.
No, not at all. So Styges thought that he could spank him and discipline him.
Yeah.
But the whole rebellion was essentially decided in two battles, like in two big team fights. Then he got to the Nexus.
Okay.
Uh, so in the
It was a minute 45 of the game. One fight, two fights
Yeah,
decided
exactly.
it.
Cyrus was just too fed. So in the first battle, Styges wasn't there himself, but he sent Harpagus to command the Median army. Wow.
There's no way.
Imagine that. Yeah, yeah. He's like, Harpagus, you're my top general. Go crush this rebellion.
After I
Uh,
made you eat your son.
after I made you eat your son. And then what does Harpagus do? Obviously, takes half the army, goes to Cyrus's side, and they club the rest.
So it was pretty much decided in one battle rather than two, considering
Yes. Yeah,
like
yeah. It
the
was
first one
essentially
wasn't really
GG.
a battle. It was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of.
They got crushed. And then the second
So did
battle,
Astyages participate in the second?
yeah, exactly. So even though he was very old by this point, Astyages personally led the army in the second battle, but they lost. Cyrus and Harpagus clapped him.
Yeah,
But
expectedly.
surprisingly, he treated him with mercy. He did not harm Astyages in any way.
But why? For what?
For
Like I feel like
political reasons, I
both
guess.
of them have very strong cases to be very angry at Astyages.
Of course. I think
Like,
Cyrus was a very rational and logical person, and even though emotionally he would have loved to kill him, he probably felt it was better to show mercy because he's essentially taking the guy's job, right, as the whole emperor of
mm,
this entire region. So he doesn't want to be seen as a bloodlusted, like, if you mess with me and I win, I'm going to kill you. More like,
yeah.
I'm so graceful that even this guy that I have every reason in the world to kill, I'm going to treat him with mercy.
So he's being just pragmatic and kind of
Yes.
thinking more
Yeah,
realistically.
well, that I'm kind of a cynical dipshit, so I interpret it as just him being pragmatic and rational. You could say that, oh, maybe he's just a very good
Good
person and
guy.
he doesn't
Yeah,
want to
he
harm. Yeah,
can't kill his
exactly. So
grandfather.
you can pick your interpretation. Yeah, it is the guy's grandpa. I always forget. It's literally his grandpa.
That has tried to kill him on multiple occasions and who's a
Yeah,
vindictive asshole.
yeah. But so he spares him, and now
He's Persian?
all of Astyages' vassals were now under Cyrus's command. This conquest was only the beginning of his wars. Got some foreshadowing going on.
Oh shit. I was wondering why you said it like that. You got me all excited.
And that's the thing is, Astyages had conflict with a few other nations. The two most important ones are Lydia and Babylon, or the Neo-Babylonian Empire, full government name. Like, along with
These goddamn Neo-Babylonians.
that's got to be racist.
No, what do you mean? So you're like a
That's
neoliberal.
so there was basically three great powers in the Near East at the time, who was like the Median Empire, Lydia, and the Neo-Babylonian Empire. But now the Medians were basically just replaced with the Persian Empire, but it was the occupying the same land. Lydia was basically in Anatolia, which is what today is the country of Turkey.
Mm-hmm.
And the Neo-Babylonian Empire was essentially covered the Fertile Crescent. So it was like the Levant, Iraq, and kind of going into
Syria.
Egypt, I believe.
Okay.
So that, and then the Persian Empire was kind of everything
The
past
big
that,
boy. Okay.
covering like the nation of Iran, but a bit further east as
East.
well. I think it went all the way to the what's now India, like the mountains there.
Yeah.
So the first one that they went to war with was Lydia, because after the Median Empire collapsed to Cyrus, King Croesus
Okay.
of
That sounds more
Lydia,
Swedish than anything.
yeah, he wanted to take advantage of that because he's like, okay, well, look, they're beefing over there. It's unstable, kind of like in a Civ game, Parsa. Like you see two people beefing, you just okay, I can go in and then take some land.
Yeah.
That's what he tried to do. But Cyrus not only was able to defend, but he led a counterattack and ended up just collapsing the Lydian kingdom and just taking all their land.
Damn. So you all went all in and just completely blew it.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
essentially decided by one battle, the Battle of Timbra, where after the initial attack, you know, they fought them off and then they started chasing them back into Lydia, so back into like Turkey. Cyrus wanted to catch the king unprepared. So like, they're setting up camp, I just gank you and I destroy. But
Yeah,
Croesus
setting up a
actually,
tent.
yeah, exactly. But he had twice as many men as Cyrus.
Okay.
So they're like, okay, we're just gonna destroy
He
them.
had that gold lead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The if we look at and that's the thing where ancient sources always blow the numbers out of proportion. So at the Battle of Timbra, the ancient sources say that the Lydians had about like 300,000 men and that Cyrus had 200,000 men.
Okay.
But the
That's
modern estimate is that the Lydians actually had about 100K and Cyrus had about 50K.
so they really sucked at counting too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The numbers are always like times four of what the reality is.
Yeah, I mean, it seems way more epic if it's like 500,000 people fighting to the death compared to
Yeah,
150k.
exactly.
Like
So Cyrus won, outnumbered 2-1. I don't know if I have some info, like we can go into the details of like how he actually pulled it off.
I mean, I'm down. It seems it seems a little bit exaggerated or near impossible in my opinion, but
That he
what
won
do
two
I
to
know?
one.
Yeah, but like I feel like ancient sources always 2-1. And then he destroys them like with Hannibal. He's like, oh, he's in the mountains. He's fighting 1-4,
Yeah,
four
but
to
no,
one,
no,
and
no.
then
But Hannibal,
boom,
it's
destroys
confirmed,
everybody.
bro.
Yeah, yeah, I know, I know.
He killed like a third of Rome's adult male population in one battle
Yeah, that's true.
and still lost
That's
the
the
war.
biggest. That's yeah, the biggest throw imaginable. Anyways, all right, no, no more tangents, bro.